a whole decade.
Yeah, a decade and a half basically to come out. Like, oh my gosh. Okay, there we
All
go.
right, you ready?
Good now.
I'm going to Grove Side Cave.
Wait. Oh
Huh?
my
Where'd you
gosh.
go?
Wait, hold on.
I don't.
Elden Ring is
Oh,
not coming through the right input.
damn! This game is loud.
There we go.
I turned it down for me, and it's still fucking loud. Whoa! All right. So, what pizza are you ordering today?
Pizza.
Today's World Pizza Day.
Oh, it is?
Yep.
I mean, I have leftovers, so probably not any pizza today.
Damn. I have leftovers too, but I'm still gonna buy some pizza.
I mean, I could see, but yeah.
I'm gonna do that.
Where'd you go again? This
Wow.
way?
The Grove
Oh,
Side Cave. Wait, can we level up?
I have no runes.
Oh.
Oh, I probably did, but because I clicked DLC start, it probably took them away. Oh well.
No, that shouldn't. That doesn't make any sense. Oh
It,
God.
I guess that's how they programmed it.
Do I have a nuke? I do.
I have no spells, I just realized. I need to die.
LMFAO. Somebody's been thinking something too. My bad.
It sucks too about Kingdom Hearts 3 because it has a randomizer, but I'm just like, do I really want to go through those boring worlds?
Hey, yeah, seriously.
Like,
That's the thing.
and
It's
also I
boring.
saw like on the topic of the worlds being boring, I saw people basically complain how kind of linear KH3 is, and people are like, but
Yeah.
KH2 is linear, but it's like there's a difference. KH2 is small worlds that are linear. KH3 are ginormous worlds that are linear, which is
Yep.
bad.
Yeah. Because it's like, okay, well, now we just put shit out of your way on purpose, and it's annoying. Oh, hey. Well, we need to go here.
Oh,
I
nice.
love it when my instincts are correct. Instincts.
Boop, 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 boop. Plus, it's like
Mm.
a great example of the worlds being too linear in Kingdom Hearts 3 is you get glide, and half of the time you just glide into an invisible wall.
Hmm.
That's bad game design.
Yep.
Especially
But you know, we put
considering
it at
like
the
half
end.
of the things that have invisible
Oh, another one.
walls.
Cool.
Oh wow. Half of the things that have invisible walls didn't have it in Kingdom Hearts 2, or if they did, you were still able to glide over them.
I don't follow.
Like, for example, like let's say this rock right here, like I can't go past it, or like I'm not supposed to be able to. Cage 3 just has a fucking invisible barrier that just goes all the way to the sky limit, so you can't even like glide around it.
Uh-huh.
Whereas Cage 2 only has it like to a certain point, but you can still glide around it.
But can you still go to the area in general, or...
No, but like let's say like this wall is just blocking like a loading zone, like a loading zone is behind it or something, like you can still just glide around it effortlessly into the
Yeah,
loading
that's what I
zone.
meant.
But like Kingdom Hearts 3 is just like, oh, I'm sorry, you need to be back within the bounds before you can glide past this
Hmm.
object.
Okay, just a moment.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense, because you don't want to start...
You don't want to have people Witcher came out and shit, but it's just like,
Yeah.
man,
Oh, right.
did we
Die.
do this? I don't even remember if we did do
We
this.
did not.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh, nice. I took my hand off my controller, too. This fucking dog is pissing me off. Dumbass dog.
Got the guts armor.
Oh, yeah.
And then let me just put the Okina mask.
What the fuck are my shoes? My shoes are so flat on the bottom, look.
Oh yeah, I have those too.
They're so flat.
I'm flat-footed.
The fuck off.
Damn.
Sit the fuck down,
Oh,
bitch.
nice. And you got it.
Oh, he should have been screaming before that, but oh well.
Yeah. Elden Ring moment.
Crab? Crab? No.
Truly. Oh, bear though.
Oh no, there's a big ass dog. Oh, you said bear.
Yeah, the other card.
Oh.
Oh, it's just a showtime.
Why does he sound like that?
You on the phone? Oh,
Oh my god.
oh. Oh,
Whew, that's hilarious.
oh, it's the K pants.
The K pants.
Yeah,
Alright,
those
is it the
boobies.
green and oh?
The,
That
wait,
works
the
too.
green and what?
I was thinking of the green and gold ones.
Oh,
Oh show tell. Would you like to show and tell or
they're
show
actually
tell?
worse than the fucking Banished Night Greaves, though. That's funny.
Hmm. Nice. But how is that possible?
Try holy.
Alright, so we don't need to talk to girlfriend.
Nope.
DLC start? DLC start?
Yeah. Is it also still there for you?
Yeah.
Wow.
I guess we just go this way.
Big dog.
Doge.
Oh,
No, I have a work call.
oh I hear it. Come here, bear. The fucking bear body. I wonder if I could kill whatever the fucking whatever replaced the Night Cavalry.
Oi! You
Oh,
there! Could you help? Some you were just thank you. I was put and I ended up. Oh, when they and so this is all I hope. Or I can then. Right, I'm.
Junk. Oh my god, why is it crucible me? Wait, where's the... What the fuck? You hit me? What? Wait, where'd he go? Where the fuck did he go? Wow, he just like despawned for no reason. Let's co-op. Oh. Get pieced up, you fool. That sucks. He despawned. I definitely could have killed him. There he is. Dead. Junk. This is blown. Junk. Okay, it seems like there's just nothing but junk items. Oh, I guess. One. Had to get rid of the snipers. Oof. Good. Assholes. There we go.
Tarnished, are we?
Got
I
her
am
open.
sorry you here. Ah, I dare say you're too well. But one must. I was ex as a revive. You still? Very well. But I refuse to anticipate.
Wow, she is ass. Actual garbage. Prison. There. Pom, 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 pom. There was something up here, I guess. Oh, we did, I guess. As for now, I feel like all that does is it lets you drink without being hit out of the enemy. The fuck is going on with the lighting? Anything else? Oh yeah, right. Jump. Oh, big thing. Right. I guess so. Is he gonna bug out? Spin. I should have used the calm down emoji. Glad to see a fucking bug from like when seamless co-op first came out is back in the game. Like, damn. Oh, I knew there was a Grace over there. Does he want to kill that, right? Yes, I'll warp back. I was just getting that warp so we don't have to worry about it. wow. Oh, it's the golem? I thought it was a dragon. Good. 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 I died. Damn. We got the grace. That's pretty good. Yeah. Hold on. Back to back upgrade. Anything I'll be back. I know. I'm coming.
Holy fuck! Oh my lord! Ugh. Are you here, Roy? Isn't there another way down? If it's not this way, then it's the other way, right? I don't think I got the treasure chest over there. I was looking for that earlier when I backed out of here.
But
That was a lot of garbage, though, I got to say. Both on the phone and off.
I'm back.
Hey, that was a lot of garbage, wasn't it?
It was. I was like, oh my gosh, this really is trash boat.
Like, oh man. You... I had struggled to kill this one fucking,
The
what's it
golem,
called?
I know.
Gargoyle. No, not the golem, the fucking gargoyle.
Oh.
Because the gargoyle was attacking me as I was hitting everything else. And I'm like, oh my god, can I please just fucking hit it, please? Meanwhile, this guy is talking to me on the phone and I'm like, oh god, like I can't do this shit. And then I'm getting pieced up by the fire from both the dragon and the golem. So I'm forced to just heal forever. Like, I'm just stun locked.
I figured it was the dragon because I literally saw your health bar go from full to half, and I was like, oh, the dragon
I was like,
must have been a
oh
fuck.
my god. I wasn't really worried, but I was like, geez, can we please stop this? Like, can we just stop?
The best part is when you ran away, the golem was like, I think I will hit Roy while he's fighting the dragon.
I know, I actually looked at you. I'm like, why is this guy... Who the fuck is this? Is this Yura?
Probably. Did you find him under like a pillar? Yeah. That's Yura.
Yeah. He was like, well done filling that dragon, by the way. I've never heard that or seen that dialogue.
Yeah, if you talk to him there first and then go to the dragon, and I don't know if you have to die or touch grace, he'll then be like, you know what? I think I will help you kill the dragon, and then you can summon him.
Oh, that's cool. Yura's the GOAT. He's such a helpful guy.
He is.
And I have not seen like a lick of him throughout my entirety of my playthrough of Elden Ring. Aside from, the bloody finger Nigerians.
Yeah.
And that bullshit that I had to deal with when I first played, but...
Do you like how even your wife was useless?
I bought her shit. I
Oh,
still
you
helped
did?
her. Yeah, she has better shit later on down the line. I know it. Now, where did you go? Oh, you didn't go anywhere.
I'm still down here. I'm eating.
Yeah.
I love how you got stuck in the Everjail again.
Everjail? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it's some bug. Honestly, you know what's so funny, Roy? I warped into the Everjail. The first thing I did was spin my stick around. And then I noticed that I was caught, and I was like, I fucking knew it.
I knew you were caught because
I
I heard
knew
this
it.
sound while I was loading in. I just heard you go. I was like, oh my god, he's stuck again.
I just knew it would happen, is the thing, which is crazy, because how the fuck do you know that happens?
And that time, I didn't press Y, like, at the same time as you pressed Y. I just waited for the prompt and pressed yes.
That's interesting, because it looked like you did. It looked like you pressed it at the same time.
So, somehow they reintroduced an old bug, which is great.
Yep. This is what we get for, or what you get for remaking the entirety of the code again.
And then not
Instead
open
of
sourcing
making
it.
notes.
So now we're just stuck relying on your slow ass updates. Like, oh my god, bro.
There better be some documentation in that code too, because I swear to fuck.
It's spaghetti code, I bet. It's just spaghetti code.
Well, I mean, a lot of code is spaghetti code until you refine it and take the time to actually, you know, clean it up. There's no way my sword went through you. My big ass sword, as you were jumping into me, like, excuse me? It was an overhead strike. Val, sit down. That was a back strike on Val. I don't know how that didn't happen, but okay. Yo, hey Kitman.
I know what I'll rename myself to.
Okay. This bitch! What are you gonna rename yourself to?
Squandered time.
Squander time. Don't squander your time.
Or open
Don't
your
squander your
heart,
time, Val.
Don't squander your time. Yeah, they did the most dumbest shit for Luxord and Cage 3. Like, you can pause buffer, yeah, but now you can't use the camera to cheat. And I just don't understand his DM.
Oh yeah. So it's did you know that it was supposed to be like random chance, by the way, in the data fight for him in Kingdom Hearts 2?
What, for him to do it or for you to win?
Like when you like pause buffer, the fact that you need the pause buffer, the reason you need to do it is because it's supposed to be random chance that you win.
Oh.
Which makes sense. Knowing that, I'm like, okay, fine. But even still, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm dead?
The heck? What killed you?
Interesting. A fall. But, you know, the game's gravity really killed me because it just sucked me down. I didn't even get to make my jump yet. It just sucked me down. Because collision, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I hate that. And I like, it makes sense, but yeah, still fuck you.
Why do all the enemies come back like you're not still here? Man? Oh shit, my runes. Okay, well now I'm forced to make these falls. Oh, that's why I died. Okay.
Val's gonna love Kingdom Hearts 3. Like, it's just gonna piss him off more than me.
Well, I mean, he's already dealing with, like, Birth by Sleep
Yep.
just fine. Like, he at first was annoyed. He's like, I kind of don't want to play this game. And now he's like, I can't stop playing it. Because it's just grindy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no. He's gonna be like, I actually like it more than Kingdom Hearts 2, and I'm going to kill him.
Oh man, if he says that, oh man.
I would actually have to kill him.
Yeah.
And I have to be like, you have such garbage takes, Val! Which we already knew this, but still.
Yeah. That'll actually be like, you have garbage takes.
We're breaking up.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry, Val, but this is causing us to break up.
Where'd you go?
I went into the... I should have gone to the Bloody Finger Cave, but instead I went to the, I went to the Limgrave Tunnels.
Oh.
So the leftmost path where the river takes you, or...
Yeah.
I guess it is a river, yeah. It's not really the lake anymore.
But yeah, if he says that, yeah, garbage takes, which we know, but still, like, damn, bro. UBS is only cool for the story. Everything else about it sucks dick.
Well, I will say that the command deck stuff is pretty cool, that you can just meld it whenever you feel like it, as long as you grind it out. But even still, like, it's just a grind fest of a game.
Yeah.
Which, it's fun sometimes, but not always.
Yeah, Mirage Arena sucks.
Mirage Arena, the combat just sucks. That's the worst part. Like, you can grind and be, like, overpowered, but then when you get back to the combat, you're just like, oh, right, and then this guy just has a million iframes for zero reason.
Yeah.
Like, oh, fuck off. The Mirage Arena is the worst offender of that. Not even No Heart, or Armor of Ericus, or, mysterious figure have iframes like that. Like the stupid regular fucking bosses in the Mirage Arena do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna teleport again for 5 seconds. I'm gonna be here just so I can attack you for like a split second, and then teleport again for another 5 seconds. And then, oh yeah, just see if you can catch me, by the way. And now I'm gonna do like a DM that's not even a DM, where I'm just gonna throw letters at you.
Of course.
And then you have to dodge it for 5,000 years, which it's the easiest thing to dodge, by the way, because we only throw one letter at a time. Game, don't even try it.
Okay, I thought I was stuck.
I saw Val doing it yesterday. I was like, hey Val, do you like stalling the boss? And then he was like, yeah, actually my least favorite is like the third form of it. I'm like, yeah, I know, that thing sucks ass. Because I'm just gonna, it's either, oh, I'm wasting time by dodging, or I'm wasting time by constantly comboing you. If you get hit once, oh, too bad, because now you're stuck in an infinite combo loop where you can't even, oh my fucking god, dude. You can't be serious. Get me out of here! I can't even target it. Oh my god. Ooh. Oh god, dude.
Also, I loved when I one-shot Riku and he's just like, but why?
I'm sorry, say that again? Because I could hardly hear.
Oh,
Because the game's volume. Yeah.
I said I loved when I one-shot Riku and he's just like, but why?
Yeah.
Like, fuck you.
Why? That's why I love bitch. Yes! I can dodge in time. Please don't grab me. You see summoning the meteors? Oh god.
Still gotta go through this.
Wait, don't come in yet, just let me fight him. I wanna see if I can fight him and win. I mean, it looks like it's gonna be fine, but still. Why is Estelle one of our first bosses? Jesus, game.
Evil scene. I see his big ass body.
Really? You do?
Yeah.
You saw it coming out from the top?
Yeah.
Oh, that's freaky. Wow. Whew.
He did it. Soloed it.
I did solo Estelle. What the fuck was that? Legit. Like, I just walk in. Like, not even, I just open the door. I'm like, oh god, I see the teleport. And I'm like, get me out of here. it just traps me inside of the fucking fog gate.
No.
I gotta get out of here. Oh, right, there's items in here, right?
In the cave? Yeah, I got them all.
No, not the cave. Just the underneath of this arc. Oh, there's a plant. Okay. Alright, now let's go to the
Once
Little
more.
Finger area.
Sorry. I'm weak. I'm fucked.
For that fight, apparently you just have to let him, like, just do his shit, and then he comes and closes the distance between you, and then you could just punish him for that.
Ugh.
That's the secret to that fight, apparently.
Apparently, also like the pillars he does, like when he slams his sword down.
Are unblockable.
Well, that, but apparently the cue for like when you can dodge them is just as soon as he throws the sword down.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it makes sense, but it's because like the attack is slightly delayed.
Right. God, what the fuck? Good.
You have quick step.
You are such a bitch. Just
It doesn't
die.
matter. I took it all back with bloodlust.
If it isn't the Jarius, the bloody finger. You're
Too
too late, dude. He just ran to him and disappeared. Thank you, Yura. I appreciate it. Wait, let's just talk to him real quick. If it isn't the Jarius, the bloody finger. He takes too. Okay. I don't know why the game hasn't fixed this yet. He takes too long to spawn in.
Really
Period.
does.
Like, I remember fighting him, and I was like, why the fuck? Does this guy come in like 2 years after the fact? Okay, it looks like this is the Euro seed.
He has my mask.
True. Those you share the mask of shall be forever tied in your fate. In the seed of Elden Ring.
Fucking Elden hearts.
Yeah. Murkwater Cave.
Wait, hang on. Let me go clean my plate.
Okay. Meanwhile,
They got off the phone already? Oh, let me tell mommy something. Yes.
oh, they just both died. That's what that sound effect was. Okay. How do you miss, you fool? Oh, how did I miss? I meant to jump, so I didn't really miss, but... Really? Let's try dog. Damn it, game, just let me run already, damn. There was a dead body. Ooh, Flame of the Red Mains. For once, we get it early. Is this do it? Yeah, this is do it. This is do it. Do you not do it? Hello, anybody home? How are you supposed to see that? Oh. Hmm. The fuck? Where'd you come from? Oh, goddamn. Can we talk for a minute? Why can't we talk? Can we talk for a minute? What the hell? I can't interact with that either. Goodbye. Oh, because he touched the grays. Damn it. I was wondering why I didn't hear any, like, sound effects from him. Alright, they're alive. Yo. We squared up too.
Yeah, just a nice. It's been about 6 months.
Okay, if you insist. Let's touch Grace again. All right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They're following me. Hmm. 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 Good. Cheers for that. I still can't interact with this. Mm-hmm. 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 Oh God, of course. Always some huge ass weird enemies in here. Oh, that's oh God. Wow. First of all, how the fuck did the sniper reach all the way up there? Oh, and there's a scorpion too. There's always some stupid ass enemies in here. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Sister. What's with the desync health? Die. Oh God. Oh, really? The last one still hit me. Oh well. And all that was barely a level.
I'm back.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm trying to put in an order for pizza real quick. Let's see. Mateo.
All right, I forgot to tell my mom that. You said it's World Pizza Day, right?
I think so, yeah.
Let me tell her that.
Oh, it's closed. San Mateo Takeaway is closed until 4 p.m. Really? I wonder why. Available at 4 p.m. Why? That's so random. Who would... It's lunchtime, dude.
There we go, I told her.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you already killed the boss? Damn.
Which boss?
In the
Patches?
cave? Yeah,
Patches?
Patches. Yeah, you already beat his ass?
Yeah. I like broke his shield and I stabbed him through it and I was like, damn. Like, you kind of just dead after that, but it did half his health.
And then he was like, wait, please.
Yeah.
I surrender.
Except he didn't say that because he touched race, so it got glitched out. And I had to warp back.
Oh, damn.
You should probably just warp to this grace that I'm at. Although if you want to get the items, go ahead. But
I was.
some
Flames of the
bullshit
Lightning.
around.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let me see what Patches has.
He's got a good spell and a not so good spell.
Hello.
Oh. I'll take the Black Flame. Consort's trousers. That's such a
Yeah.
Cheers for that.
Wait, he sells
Forgot. No
arrows.
trouble to.
Oh, yesterday was World Pizza
Oh.
Day.
Oh, it was
Never mind.
yesterday? Oh.
Yeah, I don't know why. Why did? Wait a minute. Then why the hell was it up on? First of all, the Pizza Day being on the Super Bowl is terrible. But
That makes sense.
why was it on my thing then? Why was it on Windows today?
Probably didn't change. Ways. Unless it is today? Wait.
Oh well, Vinny. It was yesterday because Vinny did a stream and he was like, "Let me review different pizzas on stream yesterday night," and it was disgusting as usual. But there were some decent pizzas there. There was one interesting one too.
Oh, yeah, it was. No, yeah, it is the 9th of February every year. Yeah,
Yeah.
wow. So,
Yeah, it was
let me tell you
yesterday.
that.
Bang. What was that noise? I'm guessing that was him phasing in. I see that I have to dodge twice just to dodge you. Oh, come on, dude. I just started combat.
Alright, correction was made.
Cheers for that.
And you're in, I'm guessing you're in Murkwater Catacombs? Oh, he got a work call, damn. It do be- Okay, I guess I can't get the bat. junk. Actually worked in. What tells me do I want to get? That's the police one, even though it could be good during boss fights. Eh. Pretty good build. Guess I'll get this one.
No, I wasn't muted on stream. I swear I pressed the mute button.
Right.
This is, I can't stand this shit sometimes. Oh well. My fault. No one else to blame but me.
Now everyone heard KB, the Family Guy meme with the black
Yeah.
guy with glasses.
Black guy with glasses.
Yeah, you never seen that?
Mm-mm.
It was like the episode where Quagmire gets a new MacBook and he fucks it up. So they take it to the Apple store or whatever. And then some random black guy comes up. He's like, "Oh, do you fellas need help?" And Peter's like, "Oh no, I'm looking for the manager." And he puts on glasses, and he's like,
I am the manager.
he's like, "Oh, I forgot what does he say." But then the guy puts on another pair of glasses, and he's like, "I want to nominate you for president."
What?
Wait, let me find it. It's so stupid. Oh my
What
god.
do you even mean? Where did you go after this, by the way?
I'm in the cave. I,
heard
don't know
Val
if
for
you
a
want to
second.
do it though.
Hang on, let me just kill Val real quick after teasing him. With death.
Why did YouTube sign me out? Yeah, here, look, I found it.
We don't have the point down emote, right?
I don't think we do. Maybe? No, we got point upwards.
I don't even have that. Let me watch this. Bro, why am I watching an ad?
Yeah, your ad block is just not working now.
No, I'm watching an ad through fucking Discord.
What?
Exactly. Like I clicked the link to open it, like it's embedded on Discord. Why am I watching the ad through
Oh, yeah. I don't have to worry about that, thankfully, but it is annoying.
What?
Fucking Family Guy logic.
Oh, sir. That's so stupid.
Yeah.
Just put the glasses on and then. Sorry, but I don't have the quotas. Peter, what the hell are you talking about? Alright,
would
you
like
went in the
to
cave and I didn't realize. Oh, black guy who seems smart. Alright, I would like to elect you as president.
What'd you say?
I have no idea where you or the cave is.
The High Road cave? It was literally the cave
Oh.
you were on top of.
Is it underneath me? Yes, okay, there we go. Whew, alright. I was like, where the fuck is it? I can't find it right now.
Where is it?
Alright. I might have to touch Grace just in case I fall for no reason, as usual here. So, let me just do that to get that out the way. Oh, I'm already dead.
Damn.
Just kidding. I almost died though.
we had like gravity like rocks that I could throw. But you can't craft
We got
those.
gravel stones.
Bolts. Sleep one.
Can these valves get away from me? Upgrade your aim. How about that?
They are so lucky. This worm guy is so lucky I don't have like a gravity stone to throw at him.
Oh, is he like in the middle platform or something? Where the water
No,
is?
he's below, but he's like basically standing on the edge of the rock, and I wanted to knock him off.
I feel so bad.
I'm just gonna wait till you get here so you can like hit him with magic or something.
Magic him now. Sure, I can do that. Which
Oh,
magic would you like? Would you like lightning bolt? Lightning spear, sorry. Loretta's great bow, glintstone ice crag, dragon's ancient dragon's lightning
maybe
strike.
the bow? I'm not sure. Need something that'll knock him back.
I think the spears can do that.
Oh wait, I forgot I have Ruin's greatsword. I could use that Asher Horn, just send his ass flying.
Hmm. Is that you? It's not you. Don't. Put that thing away. Val. There needs to be like a counter for how many times we just said Val during these streams.
I killed him in one shot, and he didn't even get knocked off.
We say Val so often, it's more like it comes up more than the word like love or like.
Val is the darkness mean for Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. Where the hell am I? Okay, I guess I'm here now. I shall say hola with an H. Hola. How are you standing on the edge of that? Oh. Never mind.
Immediately sees me get pushed down.
Oh, you got pushed down.
Yeah.
Furnace Visage. Did you manage to grab the Crusade insignia?
Yeah.
Okay. Where's this guy at that you were complaining about before?
Oh, he's dead.
Oh, okay. Hey Roy, guess what? I was trying to make you think that I died.
I just see another
Alright,
lion
jump.
walking.
Boing. Oh, this guy's dead. This guy's dead. This isn't the dungeon with 2 bosses, right?
No. Oh wait, it is now. Oh
What?
my god.
Me when I shift things into reality. Start thinking. Nice try, asshole.
I killed you earlier, you fuck. Why are you back?
Bitch! Suffer! Oh wait, he was in front of me?
No, he did the fucking mid-attack switch up.
Oh, I see. I was like, I thought he was after, like his back was to me, and I was like, okay. And then I just get hit. I'm like, what? We are cleaning this out. You know what we should do? We should immediately, once we get to like the Weeping Peninsula, we should immediately go for that spot where we missed the ship before.
Yeah,
Immediately.
because it is bullshit.
Yeah, it's a bullshit spot.
Someone's gonna eventually put like Kingdom Hearts bosses in Elden Ring.
That'd be interesting, but also like, how would that work?
Can't wait to deal with man sex.
Sorry, but Kingdom Hearts bosses are too fast-paced for Elden Ring.
Yeah.
They're way too fast.
They would have to import the KH guard iframes or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Hello?
All begins and ends in darkness.
Can you hear me? I'm stuck. Anyone? Anyone?
Embrace the dark. I swear I hate his quote so much.
I am pleased.
Please, can you help him out?
Just
Oh,
give
pal.
it I'll pop. Don't dally. Give it your all.
Here. Burn, baby!
Oh wow, that worked.
Oh, that. Well, I.
Wow.
Shamshir, thank you for the
Thank you for
Shamshir.
yet another curved sword.
Yeah, we've been getting a lot of those, huh? This guy's always a... What's it called, knight? Rot. King Rot Soldier. A swollen grape.
How many Val enemies? Damn.
I know.
Oh.
We don't really go down here much.
No, we barely do.
But there's nothing really here aside from that one point. Did you just die? Oh. I was wondering why you just fell off like that. Junk?
Yeah, jump. That takes a couple years still.
Wait, what do you mean it's junk? Is it Somber Smithing Stone too?
Yeah, don't really need it.
Oh.
'Cause
I'm just
you have
shocked you
them
called it
all
junk.
unlocked. What
I'm not
the
doing this
fuck?
yet. What?
That dragonfly was like, you know those videos people make of like, oh, the Matrix is broken and it's like a frozen bird or some shit. That's
Oh,
what the
yeah.
dragonfly was doing.
Oh god. Lucky. Not so lucky anymore. Maddie. Mathilda. Mademoiselle.
Oh, is this how you normally
Nice.
get down there?
The bird was also in the Matrix again.
Oh, oh, you got it too. Nice.
Yeah, there was a frozen bird just in midair, and it was just like, okay, and then plopped down. Alright, I'm going into the 2-dagger cave.
All right.
True Jackson VP. True Daggers VP.
Sora! I love how for Axel's data fight, he actually says Sora.
Sora! Roxas!
Roxas, come back to us. And then fucks off.
Sora.
If
Why do they
Valorant-
all say his name? They all say his name. Did Val what?
Did Val enjoy Demic's bullshit?
Well, he just looked up the guide
Oh,
for the fight. Because I was like, oh my god, Val, wait, you need to be careful because he does the magic thing. He's like, I know. I'm like, what do you mean, I know? You're not supposed to know.
I looked
That's
at
the whole
guide.
point.
Wait,
That's the
Kate,
whole point of doing this for the first time, yeah.
remember he was like, oh, I didn't really look at the what the boss does or who the boss is.
Just I roll.
Yeah,
But I mean,
roll.
then again, at that point, he probably like attempted the fight a couple times before I started watching.
Oh, maybe. Or he fucking died and then grinded and came back so he can get a shot. Is that a bad thing? No, Chaz is after you.
How? Oh,
He
where
wouldn't let
were
me do
you?
this.
Good.
I love that you turned around and just seen him get murdered.
Yep. Deserved.
Robbed.
Yeah.
Insert Zemnis. No.
Truthful. I like how he just pulls out the laser attack. Like, he could just do it whenever.
Yeah, just to flex.
Like, oh my god, dude. What? Why didn't you do that from the beginning?
Yeah, you literally could have killed them.
Oh well.
It's because he wanted to go together.
Yep. I think the thing that annoyed me the most about Kingdom Hearts 3 is that everybody... Oh, hey. Who is this? Oh. Goodbye. I was like, who the fuck? Who? I was like, this is an old man of some sort. That was hilarious.
Leave it. Strike.
They just popped out of him and then he died.
Leave it. That's what you get. That is what you get. Dumb
Are you
dog.
okay? Oh. It's like, why are you just standing there?
Because he was fucking sniffing the socket in my corner.
Mm.
And I told him to leave it alone because, you know, dogs like to lick things.
Yeah.
And then he moved back and got whooped on the snout by my dresser.
Ugh.
And I was like, that's what you get. And then he gave me the fucking typical French bulldog side eye, and I was like, oh, that's what you get.
You said he gave you the side eye.
Yeah.
A lot of dogs do that. They're just kind of like, huh?
Wait, what were you saying though? Before that you...
Oh, I one thing I don't like about Kingdom Hearts 3 era or Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance /3 is that they all come back. Like, all the villains in the past come back and they all just know the plan and then talk like, yeah, that was part of the plan from the very beginning. Like, no, it fucking wasn't. I'm sorry, but you pleading to Kingdom Hearts to give you hearts is not related to the fact that you were trying to fucking summon the true Kingdom Hearts,
Yeah.
so that Xehanort can do his shit. I'm like, no, what are you talking about?
It's-
You liar.
Miss me with that weak shit.
Same with Ansem, like, no. No, you didn't. Fill me with the power of darkness, and then what? You were gonna plunge all worlds into darkness.
Yeah.
Don't act like you had the plan to. No.
You just
Yes.
wanted to be
And I can't.
selfish.
I went back in time to talk to young Xehanort. What do you
No,
mean?
No, the fuck you did not.
Who
When
told
the
you to do
fuck-
that?
When the
Literally,
fuck did you do that?
that's the worst. One of the worst parts. Wait, what do you mean? When did he do that?
Like,
You remember
know-
the robed figure in Kingdom Hearts 1?
Oh well, yeah, I guess, but still, where the fuck was
That he was able to go back in time whenever because he had no body. He was just a heart.
Oh my.
I'm like, first of all, I'm like, who told you to do this? Because you have no memories because you're just a heart. Number one. Like, literally, who told you to do this?
He just assumed, I guess.
That he needed to. And he knew he could find his past self. Somehow.
So.
Like, no, you didn't. Granted, he does have the knowledge. I guess he does have the knowledge from Kingdom Hearts. But even still, he shouldn't really have memories. But he also does have memories.
I don't know. Did we do this?
Wait. We didn't get both daggers. We didn't get the invisible wall.
Is that this one?
Isn't this the one with the invisible wall?
No, it might be the Black Knife Catacombs you're thinking of.
Oh, well, where is that?
Lunaria.
Oh. Okay. I thought it was... I remember getting one of the daggers from here, though. When I first played the game.
Yeah, no, it's not here.
Isn't it, like, at the end of a hallway?
Yeah, it's in the Black Knife Catacomb.
Okay. Alright, then.
Yeah, there was just a lot of nonsense in Kingdom Hearts 3. That was just like eye roll.
Yeah. Why do you think I added you to the Organization 13? Because it was just convenient that they didn't have a plot
Yeah,
/ backstory?
which is why Final Mix. had to
No.
exist.
I added you to Organization 13 because I knew that you would have the mystery behind the ancient Keyblade wielders. Okay. But what does that do? Literally nothing. They can't fucking use a Keyblade. No, but the thing is that he thought that the organization originally was supposed to have hearts strong enough to kind of hold Xemnas or Xehanort's heart,
Oh,
which is why he kind of chose them all. But it was more so just for his convenience. He definitely wanted Roxas, but he knew that he couldn't control Roxas, so he instead had Shion made.
and he still couldn't control her.
Yep. But yeah, he knew that like most of them would turn coat from the very beginning, which is why he seemed to be such a brilliant strategist, and he was glazed out by fucking Zigbar and Sayax and Zeldin. Yeah, me too, but I can't remember. But yeah, he was glazed the fuck up in days over like by those two. And it's just like, no, he really just happened to get lucky. Oh, I might be able to get up this way?
I was thinking on like going over there or something, but I could have sworn we did it before.
Me too. Like I kept trying on different playthroughs to do it, and I can't seem to get it.
Embrace the dark. You.
Surrender to it.
I swear.
That's like
if
one
I
of my
ever
favorites.
go back and hand him his ass. Oh man. I feel like they perfectly made it so you can't just jump up.
Ooh, wait a minute. I'm finding it. It's somewhere. You have to make a long jump. Ugh. Maybe we have to start all from the tip, though.
Tipper? What?
Yep, possibly not. I like how we're leapfrogging over each other. Yeah, I can't figure it out. See, I can't figure it out. Isn't that about me? Got me down.
I wonder if Kingdom Hearts 3 would be
I
fun
can talk to
with
him.
all of
Huh?
the Kingdom Hearts 2 like mods that people made.
We're so dead. Oh, we're not.
But let me ask, are you here? Does your despite
My head's
takes me
open.
back any intro line? Now's the time.
That was the time.
Fine Crucible Feather Talisman.
Garbage all around, except for maybe Star Shower.
Guess I'll buy the
Whoa.
key because we don't have the key.
Oh, we don't?
No.
Damn. I thought that at this point we would have had one. Well.
Yeah, I guess I'll buy the seal.
Well,
Don't really need it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a bunch. Why are you here?
Who?
It literally just poofed into reality. Very cute. Oh, it's blowing up. And it still somehow hit you amazing.
I know, right?
Nice try.
Oh my god, this fucking Val.
How much are
These Vals.
58? Oh, 991. That's still ass.
Yeah, no. No, all these enemies are kind of garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah, die, Val. Only one wolf appeared out of all of that, which is really funny.
I was trying to say was, yeah, I wonder if Kingdom Hearts 3 would be, like, fun with Kingdom Hearts 2, like, mechanics and stuff. Cause I saw mods that, like, replace Ultimate Form with Final Form from KH2 and stuff like that, so maybe, like, it makes the game fun, but I don't know. I don't know how that would correlate to the data fights, really. Because,
And then,
like, having all of that, you still don't have Reflect. That's the big one.
yeah, but like Reflect, you don't really need Reflect to make this game good. What is that? Is that a spell?
Including Microcosm. Yeah.
God. What spell is that? That seems like a huge nuke.
From a Finger Man. Finger Man that we actually killed.
His health is decent. There is the.
What?
What?
No.
Get the fuck out of here, bitch. You must be crazy.
Fucker tried to like, oh, I don't stagger. I switch up.
That was crazy. Alright, he's almost done, but the Jade board.
What were you gonna say?
About what?
Before I mentioned reflect.
I think all I said about reflect was that it doesn't really need to be in the game, but oh, I think I was gonna say that I don't really care for Final Form anyways.
Oh, well no, but like there's mods that add all the forms back with new abilities and stuff.
Mm.
And then like most of Sora's combos get converted to like Cage 2 combos.
Yeah, I see. I'm glad that Kingdom Hearts 3 added the defensive form because it needed that.
Yeah.
Because that's what Valid form honestly should have been. Because, like, you
Yeah.
channel the power of Goofy and it's like, okay, so defense. No.
No, sorry, you just attack.
Yeah, you just attack and you actually can't defend at all in that form, believe it or
Yeah.
not. That's the one form that you can't defend in. Like, the fuck are you talking about?
And you have so much ending frame lag, it's ridiculous. On every attack.
Yep. Yeah, I still think that Master Form is my favorite. Honestly, I think that one looks kind of the best. Even though I'm not a big fan of the color... Wow. Even though I'm not a big fan of the color yellow, I think yellow looks pretty good on Sora.
Master should have been purple.
It should have been purple, I guess, yeah.
Yeah,
But at the same time, I feel like it's fine as is because Mickey Mouse colors.
Yeah, I guess if we exclude Final, that's like the moveset of Final. Yeah, I'll agree. Master is cool.
Mhm.
I don't really like Wisdom.
Yeah, no one really likes Wisdom. Especially because it requires you, if you want to, like, use it a lot, you have to, like, and use it, like, creatively a lot. You need to make use of ethers a lot.
Yeah, which is stupid.
And it's like, okay, but...
Did you go on break, by the way?
No, not yet. I have 30 minutes until...
Oh, you always do that.
Yeah. Was it not an item down here?
Wasn't it from the guy we killed earlier?
Isn't there a guy to kill down here?
I killed him earlier.
You did?
Yeah, I don't remember what he dropped though.
Not the, what's it called? Not the guy who was freaking out in Healthy Sync, right? The NPC?
No, not him.
What guy did you kill earlier?
It was, one of those, like, ogre things from the DLC that spit the blood.
Oh.
One of those.
Did you do that today?
Yeah.
I totally missed that, I think.
No, it was when we just ran through here.
Really?
Yeah.
We didn't get an item from him. Or not that I saw.
Yeah, I don't think we did.
Unless it was the club? No.
Died.
Where the fuck is the item? Is it you?
Us, maybe it was. Well, wait, is it this rabbit?
I'm pretty sure it's none of these things. It can't be. Is it you?
DMB, stop running. Yeah, I don't know.
No clue. Alright.
Oh, no. That was a good. Oh, that was a good. Oh, the item
So
was
my
right
beam.
here. It was. Yeah, it is just the club. Whatever was right here.
Salmadim or Salmadim. Hello, buddy. Nice streaming. Keep it up. Thanks.
Huh.
Appreciate it. Yeah, there's nothing here. Alright.
Yes, grabbed it already. Power. I like the white grass cloud.
Nice. Nice. What the fuck? Oh. Where'd that lightning come from? I just saw lightning near me.
Probably the Val before I killed him.
He just threw something at me? How dare he do that?
Time for Bonnie.
Bonnie.
Oh wait, no, Bonnie Village is near an area.
Leonia. Sorry, I just have the word Bonnie on the brain because of, how do we get down here? Oh, I see. Because of How to Get Away with Murder.
Oh,
There's a character named Bonnie.
oh wait, no, it's not called Bonnie. What is it? It's like Bonnie Village. Oh, Jarbird.
Yeah, and Garber. He had a lot to say as he died. Briar Greaves.
Wow.
Boom. Oh dear.
I actually almost hit him because of his colors.
Huh.
Yeah,
Dear. What is with these terrible shops?
but he has
Stone sword
chicken
key.
tendies.
Yeah, true. I guess I've modeled necklace too. I love that so fucking much. Okay, this time I won't kill D. Wherever he is. I'm searching for him so I don't attack him accidentally. D, where are you? Is that you? Are you D?
Yeah.
Is that you, D?
I actually forget.
D, where are you? D, is this you? D! Ah!
I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
Join those who live in death
This is anti-D.
will return to the earth.
Oh wow, he really is.
Fuck.
This spirit.
Turn back. Now. Because of the man on the
Village here,
boat.
turn back.
Who's very intimidating, I promise.
Meanwhile, we fucking bully him every time.
Yep. I remember when we first had difficulties with him. And I was just like, how the fuck could you struggle on this? Alright. Okay. I knew it would be you. Really? Get your ass over here.
We're not doing all of that. We're not doing all of
Damn, that must hurt. Getting shoved up against the wall like that unevenly
that. Yeah.
by a guy on a horse. Like,
a big guy and a big horse.
Yeah. Like your back is done. Speaking of big guy. Bro jumped at you immediately.
For what?
Like, I'm right here, damn, relax. Chill.
Boing. Wow, it really curved perfectly like that. What the?
What did?
This
There was an
fireball.
enemy still inside?
No, the Val's fireball.
Oh, Wait, I just saw an item. What is it?
Dragon wings.
I guess I didn't.
A man on a boat is so scary.
Yep. Hmm.
Did we go down? No.
Not over here, I don't think, right?
Guess I'll waste
Or
the key.
can we? Oh, we can. Thanks for the tip. Chad, is this all around? Swollen grape. Wait. Oh wait, no, that's only in Kaled. I have to remember that.
What?
Dude, move.
Oh.
Oh my god. It's the exact
Oh.
color. No.
Oh, that's
Oh really? I Scarlet Rot from that?
Yeah,
Oh.
it's the Scarlet
You're
Rot.
gonna die, bitch.
I wanted to stab him down. I didn't even see him. But then
Me
you
neither.
covered him.
Yeah. Dumbass meme. It's so stupid. That one and the "You Are My Sunshine" meme. I can't stand that one. That one is so unfunny. Like, what are you doing? Oh wow, it's a picture of LeBron James with a really big face for some reason, and just bright light and exposure around him. What are you people doing? This is not funny. Ugh,
That's not fun.
that's enough. Oh, this Scarlet Rot is doing a number on me.
Make a bolus and eat balls.
That's gonna be a waste when we're pretty safe. Alright, well, I guess we're okay.
Oh, also, people are speculating that at the end of that shitty secret ending, that's Luxord in the car with not Noctis.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, why Luxord though?
Because from the
'Cause
back
the
he
voice.
looks like him, but also the voice. But people are like, I mean, it could just be that he's playing another major role character.
I think it's just a game that he's gonna work on. So, but then again, I don't know at this point in time. I really don't know if it's like gonna be an actual game or if it's gonna be something in Kingdom Hearts. Verum Rex.
It's gonna be Final Fantasy 13 versus, but in Kingdom Hearts.
This Verum Rex is very interesting. But you know, I mean, Nomura, it's done. Whatever it is, it's done now because Nomura
It's
thought up parts of Kingdom Hearts 4 and Kingdom Hearts 1 development time, which means that most likely everything that he's thought of that's happening, that's going to happen, is just going to happen. And, oh my god, we're done. Why he die so quickly?
Because he used seppuku on himself like an idiot.
No, I mean like his animation, he just died so quickly.
Oh. That's what he gets.
That was mean.
That's payback from when he was super OP and was one-tapping us that one scene.
Oh yeah. That was pissing me off. Alright. It's time to get our revenge on the second person.
Oh yeah. Revenge.
This guy's normally defensive, so let's see.
Oh!
What?
I got sniped
Why did he
by
knock you off?
fucking dickhead, yeah. Roach.
Where is he? There he is.
And he's piss yellow. Nasty.
Saw it.
What the fuck is this?
Solved it. Got it. Sine. Cosine. Tangent.
Oh god. Oh god.
Oh, I mean, this is nothing we can't handle.
As long as he's not Keywood scale.
Okay, but I definitely dodged that game. I know I was dodging a lot. I definitely dodged that one.
He's Keywood scale.
No, it's fine. It's fine. He's scaled to our level now, finally. Oh, I'm so dead.
Hit by that, yep. Shut up.
Parfait. Didn't like that very much.
That's
Yeah. Now will you give us runes, please? Thank you. Thank you. That's more like it. Ooh. Alright, time for this stupid ass dungeon. Only to get off the horse.
yeah.
Oh.
One Prime 4 though, Nintendo.
Oh, I thought you were about to ask me when I'm gonna play Prime again, and I was like, I have no clue. But also, I have no clue for that. Oh yeah, I have to finish Dread too. I'll do that soon.
What's your fucking long ass loading times?
Yeah, that's honestly, that alone is making me not want to play.
I would just fucking play on the emulator.
Who is this? Oh, it's a
Oh,
Bloodhound Knight.
I'm not gonna kill this big goat because it's funny. Oh my.
Oh, I was like, what is attacking me with a dog? There are like 5 things inside of me. And then this deer just runs out.
Did you see it?
The deer just ran out. Oh, get the fuck out of here.
Oh, yeah, he was vibrating in the wall. I was gonna kill him.
Yeah, I even see the dog. I was just kind of trying to attack, whatever, but I really should have healed.
Oh, this is this one? Ugh.
But also, I should have died.
Wait, why?
What? What
He's
happened?
he counts as an enemy? That's funny.
Who?
You'll see his dead body when you come over here. That's hilarious though.
Who the fuck is this?
Wait, what the heck is over there? Oh, did something else jump down from the top?
maybe, but
Oh, you killed the
okay.
deer. Nice.
The goat, yeah. But what were you talking about?
Oh, it's on this side.
Oh.
What are you? Do you see
See what?
the deaf guy right here?
Oh, what the hell?
He counts as a regular enemy.
What?
I was like,
We
why
haven't
is
even
he
seen him
here?
a
And
single
I
time.
killed him.
We haven't seen him a single time.
That's funny. His just old man form counts as a regular enemy.
That's good. Jesus, game. Scarlet Rot. I get it. Please.
Yeah, it is fucking you up. Too bad it doesn't clear status effects.
Who is down here?
That annoying asshole. But who else?
Urgent heal. Did I heal?
No, I think urgent healing needs to regenerate. Oh, I am now rotted with you.
Lord have mercy, the Scarlet Rot tick is so insane.
I know.
Oh, I was like, are you fighting an actual enemy? Why is it running away from you? What's it here?
Good.
It wouldn't let me, even though I pressed Y first.
Drink.
I'm dead.
Yeah. Oof.
Close. Can I outlast the rest of it? I don't think so. I think I'm gonna die, so I'm just gonna run and grab these items as soon as possible. And then leave. Even if I take 0 damage, I don't think I can make it.
Oh yeah, now we gotta go all the way back.
Yep. Wait! I beg of you!
What the fuck? This guy came from nowhere and he made no sound.
Scarlet Rot really just eats through your entire HP.
For no reason.
Such
Well,
a fair game.
I guess in the lore it makes sense, but still. Doesn't need to last that long.
It does not. Get me up there! Ugh.
Wait, I beg of you.
I beg of you! So where'd you go?
I'm at the boss
Wait,
room.
Wait, did you get like the last items too?
Yeah.
Oh, this is the. Oh, okay, this is the boss route too. Okay, good.
I got less than a quarter
What the
left
hell?
of Scarlet Rot. It's just because it's funny. It's gonna do absolutely nothing, but it's just funny.
Me when I have the option to aim at the pumpkin part of the pumpkin head, and instead it aims at the head on purpose. That's the one thing I don't like about that enemy. It's like, it's okay, it's threatening, and it has armor on its head, but like I'm not aiming to do a headshot. Like mostly it strikes on the body. How is it hitting the head every single time?
Yep.
I think for once we can actually do all of K-Lid without too much difficulty.
Yeah. Hey, no more rockets.
This does really hit.
Guessing you ran past all the enemies.
Yeah, I'm just gonna get this grace and then we're gonna warp out. Okay. Oh, you're non-staggering, Val, I see.
His face. Oh my god, the Val face. Val playing BBS.
Yep. Exactly right. Alright, yeah, let's get out of here. Alright. Or call.
Of
And
course.
they stopped calling for some reason. Cool.
They called and
Of course
just
I got
hung
a
up.
call back. Yep.
I'm wondering if wait, isn't muting me? Wait, what the fuck? It's not. Where's it going? I need to check.
they're done. And so will I be. As soon
Oh.
as I'm done with this. Because I'm going to go on break early.
I didn't even realize my mute button wasn't working. I just fixed that.
Hmm.
It was working for you, but not like if I muted, I was still able to be heard on stream.
Oh, wow. There's only 2 stores left for today. Yeah, I could probably just leave for it. I probably should have just... Man, oh well. I should have scheduled my, driving road test to be, today.
Oh yeah, true.
But, because Mondays are always quiet. What does my friend have to say? Done, okay. He just had to pay me for something.
Oh.
Real quick, let me just order something to eat.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't look too good. Honestly, I might just get this vodka sauce pizza again.
Oh.
But I really don't want to have pizza that often. But also today is that, so I don't know. But also, damn. I could definitely eat a whole pizza for lunch. But also I'm gonna have to share with my mom.
That's true.
So it's gonna be like and then it's not a whole pizza.
Yep.
And even then I can't even order just one pizza, I have to order multiple. Okay. Because that's how this place works. You can't order less than $20.
Oh my god, I hate that so much.
I despise it.
I hate that even with like stores. Oh, sorry, you can't use your card unless it's $10 or more. Oh,
Otherwise, I'll
just
charge you for it.
yeah, like oh my god. Let me pay.
Which, why in the world is any system like that, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, see, if you withdraw your money, if you withdraw too much money, we're gonna have to take some money out. Why? Why?
Just so annoying.
Okay, let's go to the east side, the upper east side of Limgrave. Which I do want to go to for a pizza place too.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, there's yeah, I just went to girlfriend, but only to leave. I was showing Nyan. I was like, "Hey Nyan, this is one of our very first Lethal Company streams." And it's just me, you, Val, and Cray playing the game. And I was like, and then eventually, like, he was watching me play BBS and grinding, I mean, DDD and grinding in it. And then, just as it was getting good, because it was kind of just boring at first to watch, the Thumper incident happened.
The Thumper incident?
If you remember. Where this one Thumper killed all 5 of us.
Oh.
Because then Rue joined. I think that was Rue's like first day in game too, which is hilarious. But yeah, that Thumper just killed all of us.
And now
So
we
sad.
jump them every single
Yeah.
fucking time.
And also we were just terrible at the game. Do you remember that? When we were terrible at the game?
Yeah.
All of us sucked. That gives me a kick.
I mean, also, like, we just have the map now. The map just carries.
Yeah, but like despite that, we were actually just terrible at the game.
Yeah. It's Val's fault.
It is Val's fault. Because we had too many no. It's Val's fault that we got better at the game.
Yeah.
We used to farm content. Now we farm anger. Oh, yeah. Dog?
I bet you Val isn't gonna join tomorrow if we could.
Great.
Is anybody there?
Where is he?
Who might be interested in rescuing the great
Oh, he's in the floor! I'm like, where the fuck is this man at?
He's laying down.
repudiator of the false
He's in the floor. His head is in the ground.
grant me such. You've come to
Well, that's no. Despite
This is
might
Val.
have heard- Young tarnished. I want you to
It
might
is.
command. What my fault?
Just head in the
friends,
sand.
celebrate.
Sleeping.
He's not even getting up.
Honestly, God
Nope.
first, then he and to think. Yeah. What my fault?
Largesse. Large ass? Well, don't mind if I do. Is largesse really a fucking word? Largesse. Come on. That's not something that's going to be used ever again in the 21st century. Let alone the 22nd, since we're nearing that now. Largesse. Oh my god. Largesse. Hello, thank you. Oh my god, game. Talk to Melana? Melanin? I'm interested in this. Fuck, wait, do I have... No, I do have that as a thing. Wow. Oh, I should have held her hand. Oh well,
Shall I
fine.
share? Very well, my lord. With thine he will wait well. Shall I let my hand share them with me? Your thoughts.
Millennia.
Your
Grant me succor. Whoa. Cute Cat Cafe. Alright, I forget because there's a place called Cute Cat Cafe nearby.
Those were the easy ones.
Easy ones.
We have Death fruit they give me.
Wonder what Metal Sonic was trying to do.
I smell it feeding. Tarnished. I shall grant feed me.
Don't get so excited, boys.
Damn, gave all of that.
Feed.
I smell it to death. I smell it to death. Feed me.
Why is he always here?
Cloak and dagger. Oh, we can kill him. He got me. He got me.
Now is he a poop one? He is.
He's a poop one. Which means tick kills you in 0.2 seconds.
Yeah. I mean, he hit you once and did half of your health, so.
Well, even still, I eat this guy for breakfast, so that
God,
should be
the
fine.
cookies. Get him!
I can get him. Slash.
Quick!
Oh shit, you and me.
Oh, he's pooping.
Now go win the Elder Ring for me, my friend
Oh,
says.
I'm dead! Oh my
Oh
god!
man, you're alive. You're a live fish.
Does that do so much damage? Oh, God. Can I? We have no fire grease? Bro, that's just sad.
Nope.
Let me see if I can get a cheeky one. Actually, you know what? I'll just throw fire pot at him.
He's picking me in. Oh god, I'm gonna get out of your way.
Is it after you? Is he still
Game,
cross-
really? They can't perfectly follow me in here.
Or you can frostbite him again.
Cool.
Oh,
That works
I was
out.
trying to time you.
Double. Double it. Would you like to double it? Oh my god, he loves jumping, dude.
I'm dead.
No! I almost called you Vinny, I don't know why.
He pooped all over me.
Damn.
And all over the spots I could have ran to. Man.
Boy.
Damn, only
That was
100,000.
a lot of rooms. That was a lot, though. I mean, that's decent. That's a good, like, 2 levels.
You die.
Alright, let me level up my arc. No, I'm not gonna level up my arcane. That's a stupid move. Because I haven't even used it yet. I'm just gonna level up my strength for once.
I need to do my arcane so I do even more blood loss.
Oh yeah, you have the blood loss shit. What the fuck? I don't even have it.
My arcane is at 23 right now. Maybe it's
Mine is
fire.
at 25. The show that should have won Gaming Show of the Year?
What?
Arcane.
Oh.
What did it go to again? Not Yakuza. Something else that people were like, huh?
I forgot. It was some dumb shit. Yeah, I can't believe Yakuza was even on there because it was dog shit. But I guess people. Just
I mean,
have
it gets points for
horrible-
existing.
I guess.
I think that's really what it is. Oh my god, why are there mountaintops hands up here?
Series. What was it like? Best game show award.
Best game show best show adaptation maybe. Oh nice, I learned how to dodge them. Cool. Jesus. Why is it so big?
Wait, they still have it like up on their website. Let me see.
Get away from me. This huge ass hand. What?
Let's see.
What the hell are the hands doing?
Oh, here we go. The winners. You all category.
Oh my god.
Oh, best
Can you hit him out of the
adaptation?
sky?
Is it this? Oh no, it wasn't a honk. The Fallout show one.
Oh, well, I never knew that existed either, so.
Yeah,
It was a huh from me.
That.
Huh.
Ooh, 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 ooh.
Bye. Oh wait, that's so low to the ground. What?
Why is there big hands?
My thoughts exactly. Oh god, I hate that attack so much. It closes in too close, too quickly. And it doesn't look like it will, but it does. Always.
Oh my, you do a lot of damage.
Yeah, he does have your HP.
Bro, just get on fire. I'm hitting you with fire. Oh, it's because it's raining.
Dude, he just dodges by attacking.
He just
Whatever.
dodges my attack.
I'm done. I'm done fighting him. It was a waste of my time to initiate the fight. Lucky.
Farm Great Bridge? Do we attempt the dragon?
Yeah.
Dragon?
Just give me a second. I have to finish my report for I said the word report so you might think it's serious. It's not. It's for fucking Pokemon Sleep. Wow. That's kind of racist, Pokemon Sleep, I'm not gonna lie. They say Valentine's Day, right? So you think, when you think of Valentine's Day, you think chocolate.
Yeah.
Tell me why. So, do you know the Pokemon Wooper? It's like an axolotl. It's just a big ass head with no arms. He's got like a blue body and big ass head and a tail. And he kind of has like 4 like pink things sticking out from the sides.
Yeah.
So there's a version of that that's a poison type in the new game that came out, Scarlet and Violet. It's just called the Paldean version. They use that to advertise Valentine's Day, even though he's poisoned to the touch, and it's hilarious. He's just covered in mud and film, and it's just like Valentine's Day. I'm like, just because he's dark, you just made like a chocolate Pokemon. Like, what the fuck?
Wow.
That's the only reason he's there. Because why the fuck would you put a poison type as a Valentine's Day Pokemon? There's no reason. It just looks like he's made of chocolate because he's still dark skinned. Oh damn!
He's chocolate. He's dark skinned. That's racist.
Yes.
cancel this game immediately.
Let's see, hang on a second. This week's long event will be set to desserts and drinks. Yeah. Greater appearance rate. Wooper, Paldean form, slightly greater appearance rate. Psyduck, Pinsir, Pichu, Ralts, Aron, Absol, Robin, Miku, and Fuecoco. I have them all. But where's the area? All areas, okay. Alright, in that case, I'll go right back here. The old gold power plant. Alright, where did you go?
Good. You missed me.
No, I saw you behind me.
Put some dragon moon grease.
I'm missing? Oh. Alright, it looks like we can't defeat this dragon. We're going to die if we get hit by that fire.
Oh fuck.
Oh, come on now, just say
Come
you
on,
smell.
what the fuck? It's one of these dragons?
I see the lightning on him now. Wait, don't hit him yet. Now you can hit him.
I can't get it because it's slightly elevated. Oh wait, got him.
Stomp time? God, I love this spell. Yeah, do it. Do the stupid fire move. It looks like this is the one that fights against the other dragon.
Yeah. Oh, I'm stuck under his big ass, so you're gonna have to get him.
Woo! Oh yeah, not that time.
Oh, I couldn't see.
Damn it. Mario time is now over.
Jesus.
Well, I take it back.
Okay.
Whew. He's gonna do it again. Oh no, he's not.
Gonna dash.
Yeah.
Die.
Damn.
Dang it. 64,000.
Pretty good.
Oh, why did that stupid Trunks meme come into my head?
What, black? That man's not black.
No. They just called me the drink.
Oh god.
That's just stupid.
Who knows?
Have you seen that?
I have. I don't really think the drink is that funny.
It's stupid.
It's really dumb.
Like, what? I don't get it either. Like, what the fuck? Good.
Oh, well, see you, Chaz. Well, it's not really Chaz. I don't know what it
That's
is.
what it gets. It wants to be rolling around.
I think it has something to do with, like the Fortnite item.
Oh.
So then they're like, yeah, they call me the juice box, talking about young Trunks. Or future Trunks. Oh, sorry, present Trunks.
Oh my god. Fortnite memes.
Fortnite memes. Meme. Oh, hey, speaking of meme. Dragonheart.
Oh wow.
Dragonheart.
Come open your heart.
They don't know what those spots are.
I'm surprised Val didn't say anything about like Benitez or
Or Terra.
Terra's body.
I know. I was like, what the hell?
I expected that.
I think he's just too done with the story at this point. Which is fair, but like, I really want him to complain.
Yeah. That cake and post the duck again. Stupid fucking duck.
It's such a dumb telegram. Yeah. I've seen that like well before I sent it to you guys.
I
I
feel
always
like
thought it was
I have
hilarious.
too. 'Cause it seems familiar.
Yeah.
Maybe I saw it
It's
in
just a
like
telegram sticker.
a meme video or something.
Yeah, it's in a few memes.
What is piecing you up down there?
Piecing me up. If you believe that. Alright, well, now it is, but
if you believe that, oh, it nearly dies.
yeah. Because I wasn't healing. But yeah, it's just what's it called? The Omen.
Oh,
The fat guy.
oh, it wasn't worth.
Oh, well, he had a lot of HP. The fucking scream is so funny.
Yeah.
Oh. No.
Wait, I beg of you.
I beg of you. Wow, that did a lot of damage, huh? Wait. I beg of you.
Oh, it was fake.
Yep. He had a lot of defense.
He's the tank.
Nutty.
Oh my god, I was just watching like well, not a meme, but like one of those guys who talks about like a show or something.
Uh-huh.
And they were talking about the episode where fucking Ed had a pebble in his shoe and became the Incredible Hulk.
He had a pickle in his shoe?
No, a pebble.
A pebble?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I remember that episode. Despite not really watching that show a lot.
Like, why the fuck did he become a maniac over a pebble?
Because it's like stepping on a Lego.
It is, but damn. Who's this?
Like he was irritated as I don't know what. Where did it go?
Just like that, please. That's the sorceries.
Okay, okay. What do you think? I think we should go down to Mistwood now. I meant to go earlier. Oh.
Oh, you
I had just worked.
there.
Yeah, I just went down there. There are no items or anything. I just went there just because. And then maybe we can get the Mountain Dew later? What? What? He says, now go win the Elder Ring for me. And I was like, that can be accomplished. And then he says, and then maybe we can get the Mountain Dew later.
What the fuck?
I don't know what that means.
Go!
He looks a lot like me. Oh, hey. Dead. Not worth it. It's the bear.
Did you hear it go?
Yeah. Speaking of
Dear customer. Yes, right this. Well, please. I'm hungry.
Bro, what is with these shops being ass?
eh,
I'll take the summon. That's really about it.
I took 4 things from him.
Damn. 20 runes for golden great arrows? That's actually pretty good. But I don't have a great bow.
Excuse me, no, that's not how this works. You're dead now. Wow, the valve instantly grabbed me even though I just landed. Or he instantly tried to grab me even though I just landed. Chance, don't do it.
Chance.
What do you mean that missed? What?
Yeah, what?
That was dead accurate.
He perfectly sidestepped it or something, like,
He got perfectly lucky.
as Chaz does.
Yes. I like how the solution to the blind thing is, oh, well, who should I talk to about the wolf, like, howling in this wood? Oh yeah, I should definitely go back to talk to my best friend Kale, because he'll know. Why?
Oh god, not a non-staggering down. Chains dead. Is the plant dead?
Huh?
No, I thought the plant was dead. Now I'm gonna kill it.
The plant.
Die.
I keep blacking out, by the way. So I may have to sleep, but we'll see. Maybe I just need something to eat.
He just wants to help.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. Damn, we've been streaming for like 3 hours.
We have?
Yeah.
That explains why I'm so tired. I was like, but I kind of want to stop the stream, and I was like, well, we haven't really played in a while. Or for a while. Alright, in that case, I'm gonna psych myself up. I swear, wasn't there another beach where you can find good shit?
I want to say yes,
Maybe
but
this
I'm
one?
not sure. Oh, look, it's
thinking
Val
it's this
on a
one.
boat. And speaking
Where?
of Val, he's in my chat. Val, go pick
Oh, he is? Oh yeah, let's ask Val what he thinks about Terra and Ventus.
Yeah, Val, what do you think about Terra, Ventus, and Vanitas?
What happens to them?
My mic is low? No, it's because I'm not eating it. I'll just do this because I'm lazy. There. There, now it's louder, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I definitely hear your voice more.
I just woke up, but I might sleep again.
Okay. You're beautiful. Says
Yeah.
prattling feet.
You're
To Val.
beautiful to Val. I'm gonna leave it at 66 because it's funny. Let me know if this is too loud.
It's a bit too loud.
Yeah.
I mean, I can always turn it down, but like, I'm pretty sure I have you at medium volume on my thing, which
Yeah.
means that it's fine. Normally.
Here's 63 now. Maybe this is a good middle ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better. I lowered it a little bit more, Val, so I don't know if it's fine now. But we were asking, Val, what do you think of Terra and Ventus and Vanitas? What do you think of what's yours is mine?
And then it became true.
Yeah. Oh, look. Miniature Ronnie.
Really?
Yep.
Well, that's one piece of the puzzle.
Wee.
Val says in my chat.
Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Fucking Dark Riku.
What? Is that it? I don't really know what to feel, honestly. LOL. What about Terra Xehanort becoming a thing? And him becoming a big problem?
Of unleashing darkness.
I think that's everything, right?
Yeah, I think we cleaned it out.
Thanks for the blue item, Val. We can't talk to Blythe, can we?
Did we get finger snap? No, we
No.
didn't.
Maybe we can get fingered. There we go.
Did we even like go near Blythe though to get the prompt? I guess
Well,
I'll go next to him, and then you can just like touch Grease to.
About the Howling and Mousewood.
Oh, okay.
Alright, there it is. Did you get it?
No, I probably gotta warp over there. Woo!
Goodbye.
Damn. Now
No.
the mic picks up like every clack of my controller.
Huh. That was cool, but also I feel like I kind of knew somehow it would happen. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, once you see
Yeah,
Terra,
honestly, once you see Terra, yeah, it's like, huh, like how does he become gray with gray hair, and all of a sudden he looks like this guy who originally was named Xehanort? It's like, oh, okay, well.
he didn't give it to me, by the way, but it's fine, I guess.
Oh.
Goodbye.
Let me try talking to him.
Perhaps you don't see that we have a saying. Lament not your lot. That is our just away.
No, he's just telling me to look out for his people, like I care about them.
Maybe touch Grace?
Wait, well, you're...
Nope.
Goodbye.
It's fine.
Okay.
It's just
I'm
finger
gonna
snap.
touch Grace though, just so I can talk to Blythe. Yeah, I don't know. I have nothing that comes to mind, LOL. Okay, but
Not
did
even...
you know that he now has 4 names, Val? He has the names Ansem, Terra, Xehanort, and Xemnas. But also he has a 5th name, Terra Xehanort.
God.
And they're all totally different people, Val. But they're also the same person.
Don't forget about Master Xehanort.
Oh, well, Master Sword's different. LMAO, shut up.
Oh,
Where
almost
did Doge
stepped on
drop?
his head.
Oh, I was like, where did Doge
Carly
drop?
sent you the-
There he
The
is.
name's Blood. He fled someone. Come tell me if I can offer you.
It's always not when we talk to
Darrow and
him.
in need of a. Darrow and in need of.
Now he just wants us to find Doward.
Gotcha. Darwell. So now his thing will be open?
Well, we already killed it. We gotta
Right,
just
yeah.
go over there and Blythe will be there.
Okay. And then we get the item from him.
Yep.
Wait, but did you get the rest of the items over here? You didn't
No.
open a chest. What the hell?
I'll wait till you get here so that.
Oh shit, I almost hit him with the horse. I always forget how to get down from here. So far, these items aren't really worth it.
Val, what's yours is mine. Wait, we missed this? Dry leaf arts? That was just out in the open over here? What?
I think I had that already. The only one I'm mad about is Ansem.
Why? Why are you so fixated on Ansem, Val?
Well, now we have the black knife.
Oh, you found the black knife?
Can you get lost? Punk ass bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found the black knife. No arcane though, it's only holy.
Yeah. Because it's dark holy.
Oh hey, the scorpion sticker that we picked up is a +10. Or maybe it's... Wait, I actually can't remember
No,
which one we stayed with.
you started, or we started
Okay,
with one. Yeah.
Alright. I killed Ericus and No Heart with all 3 characters, by the way.
But did you kill the other one?
They have cool songs. I like No Heart's song the most, but Armor of Ericus is just like whatever. It's like okay. But also Armor of Ericus in general is just kind of boring. Like I don't... What the hell? What the fuck is happening?
Did you like getting pieced up by No Heart, Val?
No, I haven't done the final episode yet.
I want him to do what you were suffering on, Kate.
Yeah, he did do No Heart, but Val, how was No Heart? Was it easy, hard? The first time I assume it was easy, right? I mean, hard, right?
I bet he overleveled anyway.
Well, we'll see. Well, I mean, he was extremely overleveled because he beat, like, Monstro in 2 seconds. Like, I actually looked away and he was already done with it. I was like, oh, interesting.
That sounds like Val.
It is boring to fight, but I love the concept of him changing depending on characters. Armor of Ericus, yeah.
It's time we part.
He said it wasn't worth going back to Mistwood. It was junk.
Yeah.
Damn.
Wait, who said it wasn't worth going back to Mistwood? Oh wait, yeah, I did. It's kind of junky. It's just that when you said he's... Oh, well, the black knife is there, though.
Yeah, I can
The black
always
knife
go
is in the
back to
church.
that.
Yeah. Alright, let's go ahead and do a major boss. That means we finally go up here.
Oh, a bot just got banned in my chat.
That's funny.
I
No
wonder-
Heart was okay, Bio Barrage spam was goated. Bio Barrage? Really? Interesting.
Well, you know, he's using a guide, so...
Yeah, but I thought that Ultima Cannon... See, Ultima Cannon and Ventus's are honestly like the best to use against him. It just does clean amounts of HP, and it's over.
Wait, for who?
But did you
No heart?
no heart? Yeah, but did you struggle on him? Like at any point were you just like overwhelmed? Did you see the fact that he could knock you into the air and then stagger you, like he froze time on you and then like just did the fucking Dio attack where he just stabs you with a bunch of knives?
Oh my god.
Please tell me you saw that. Wait, are you ahead of me?
Yeah.
Oh, I even see you past. I was just sitting here waiting for you. I was like, where's he?
I went to
Monty
Master
Butcher Knife.
Shack, that's why.
Oh. Well, what about the items here? You're gonna miss out on the Bonnie Butcher knife.
Oh?
And the... what's it called over here? The, Golden Seed.
The seed I think I already got.
The pot? It was a pot.
Yeah.
And what about the girl? The girl. Well, she's probably not here, but... did you get her item at least?
I'm coming back to check. I was dealing with the vermin. It's coming towards
Oh wait,
you.
actually it's... oh yeah, it is blue. Honestly, that's the only reason I'm doing the fucking color randomizer. It's because I knew the possibility of that happening was immensely high.
Val's guide is gonna tell him how to beat Remnant.
No, I didn't really struggle, to be honest, but I had a few cheap deaths, mostly the one where he stuns you and you're dead. I fucking can't stand that. Oh my god. Just because he didn't dodge the first hit. Yes, I did a nuke attack. And if you don't dodge it, then you're stunned. Or sorry, I stepped on you and now you're stunned. Now I'm gonna do something else. Did you get hit by the attack where he was just like blowing up shit? Over and over again?
My input overlay isn't even on me.
I'm gonna reset your commands now. That's so lame. Yeah, I reset your commands so you can't even heal. Block. Oh, hang on, I'm moving up.
Work call, I guess. Oh, battle mage. What are you doing? Die, Chaz. Not even matter. Yes, you did, Val. Yes, you did. Because you suck balls. SMH. Always cheating. Yeah, boo. I checked them a few times before looking it up. What? Why are you at me? What? What? Doge, yeah. He's gonna start acting bad because he wants attention. Can't believe Val's always sleeping now. Just like Ventus. Doge is a new side character in the Void storyline. Better than all the Disney characters. Alright, after BBS you have all the games K is playing. Which is, ugh. Only one good game in that entire collection. And then you have trash. Straight buns after that. Yeah, you started with me. Ow, your claws hurt, man. Can't wait for Cage 3? Question mark? No, no. Cage 3 sucks. Cage 3 is trash.
What?
No, Val. He's like, can't wait for Cage 3?
You... Val, do you like Birth by Sleep?
Okay, it's like, this will answer it.
Yeah. Also, I'm probably going to stay on break for like another 15 minutes. No, I'm not really. But I kind of want to because people are just sending in emails like, what, 5 minutes? No, not even, like 3 or 4 minutes ago. And I'm just like, bro, it was silent the entire time I was on break. I'm 10 minutes before I have to get off. Do not bother me. As soon as I get back.
How do you... Val, how do you know that?
I don't know what.
He said, I just know Toy Stories in it. That's all I know. And then he said VRB.
Because of the meme. He said BRB.
Yeah. The meme? Oh, the stupid fucking... Woody just owning...
Young Zane, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Which wasn't he wasn't really owning him. But it is funny. Fucking no heart. Don't just bothering me. But I lick you now. I lick you.
I am now ready.
All right. Time for Rykard. Stop.
Personally, I think it's just gonna be the one soldier.
Oh, Soldier of Rick.
Mm-hmm. That was hilarious. Why was the name Soldier of Rick?
Go get a toy. Bring me a toy. Because you're not chewing on me. Gotta break you out that habit. Okay, I'm back. You know what sucks, K, is Val's gonna enjoy the Cage 3 worlds. And I'm just gonna be like, eh.
Emboldened
Yeah.
by
I
the
roll.
flame of ambition.
Thank you for getting rid of that message, Val. I appreciate it.
Oh, did you have a bot?
Yeah. Just like Sora from Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah. Stop! Stop! Hey! Stop licking my foot! I have lotion on my foot.
Let it be Margit the Fell.
You're a bad dog. Loretta. Ugh.
We fought her here before, didn't we?
I think so.
Okay,
What the
we
heck?
just
She
danced
has
around
purple
with
on
that.
her.
Yeah, I saw.
Damn, I just
I'm guessing
pieced
her.
her up.
Damn.
Oh wow, that's funny. She dropped her armor.
Wow. Sick. And I have it on too.
No, that's Rolana's.
You're right.
Bro's still yapping, damn.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Val was here when you asked your question, Kay.
He says, I just heard you asking if I like BBS before I left. There's things I like about it, but overall I feel indifferent. I wish it had better story, really. Yeah, that's what everybody feels.
Honestly, BBS should have just been a fucking CGI movie.
That would be interesting. But yeah, it's kind of just there to say, yeah, there were people builders in the past.
And
He was the
this,
main villain of the story, and the
This
reason
is-
why
like,
everybody's not here is because they all suck.
yeah.
Wow, I just really took the cheese off of all these pizzas, huh? Because this one piece of cheese doesn't want to come off in this one pizza. Fuck off.
And then here's why Terra Xehanort exists.
Yep. You're probably wondering why this guy has yellow eyes. Well, do I have a story for you? The cheese on my 3 pizzas came off.
Fun.
Oh, I'm so mad. Time to make my
issue.
hands dirty.
Yep. You can't avoid it, K.
Like, it really just got... God, it's just annoying. It's just annoying. Not even like... Oh, great.
Be gone. Val, did you like Terra Xehanort just spamming one move?
You there?
He didn't get there yet.
Oh, he didn't?
Oh, unless you mean Terra's fight of him.
Yeah. Or he just fucking loves to spam one attack to stun you. No, I'll use the
I will say I love the cutscene at the end of KH2 showing the fight with Xehanort, but also it's sad they spoiled the greatest cutscene. LOL. Yeah.
Val, fun fact about that cutscene: everyone in like 2006 kept posting low quality versions of that cutscene and saying Kingdom Hearts 3.
That was like 2008 though.
Was it? I thought it was like 2006, 2007.
Or 7.
The gates. Open the gates. Oh, fuck, I forgot this item.
Because when you get in it, when you get to it in BBS, you already know how the fight goes. Yeah. To the point where they cut scenes of it.
Yeah. Come, open your heart, Val.
The only ones who weren't really there were Michael and Zigbar.
Who the heck is Michael?
Michael. Michael is Michael.
Michael from FNAF? FNAF in Kingdom Hearts? Question mark.
Maybe.
God.
No, Mickey.
I believe it. Wait, what do you believe now?
That's fucked because it might be the best cutscene in Kingdom Hearts for me yet for me.
Wow, just kill Ven. It's easy.
Yeah, put an end to him. I wasn't gonna really play past this, by the way.
Oh.
I just want to do Mariget. The Fell. He lies about his name for some reason.
Yeah. I said that for the fact people thought it was gonna be KH3. Oh yeah. Why can I still lock onto this dead body? What the fuck?
Which, you know, Kingdom Hearts 3 had just come out. Kingdom Hearts 2.
True. Val, you'll like the gameplay of 3, but you'll be like, eh, to the story. What? How's this little shit not blowing up? Also, why more Elden Ring? Because yes. We shall see. I swear, if you say you like Elden Ring, I'm gonna kill you. I mean, not Elden Ring, fucking... Kingdom Hearts 3. But I'll still kill you if you like Elden Ring. Oh, nice, that guy's gone. Because you can't like Elden Ring. Like, You just can't. You're the biggest hater. Just like Xehanort.
What you meant to say was just like Anthem.
Oh yeah, true. Sure, bud. Do I even bother doing the Banished Knight cutscene?
Probably not, because it might warp me in there with you.
Yeah. Let me do the outside section. Oh my god, the health desync. I love how he's literally just a gremlin. I hate how he has a veiny ass bald head. Like that's what I imagine Link looks like in real life.
Wow.
Even though I've seen pictures of him. But like just him being Xehanort fits more. Like just a veiny ass bald head. Did you go through the gate?
Me? No, not yet.
Oh, are you still at the Grace?
Yeah, I'm still eating.
Okay. Well, I went through the back area. Not really much. That got me laughing so hard. Oh, I bet. Zaya,
Let me go and wash my hands.
Alright. I still can't believe it's been like 7 months since I haven't talked to him. That's hilarious. Link just walking around with his arms behind his back, yeah. Man, I wish you could jump on that. But it wouldn't let you get back. I guess I'll just warp. He needs darkness. True. He needs Kingdom Hearts. He needs more hearts. He needs more rage. To forge the Keyblade. Different from Keyblade, yeah. The stupid X-Blade. I hate its design. It looks so shitty.
Well, to work. Quick, before they realize that I've been on break for like 10 minutes past.
It's so dumb. Yeah. I honestly the Keyblade needs a better design.
Oh yeah, I bet Val was like, ugh, when he saw that. He's like, really? That looks so stupid. That looks so fucking stupid.
It does.
That was a good 6 slices of pizza that I just had.
Damn.
But it was a pizza, that's why.
It was a Pizza Hut, you said?
A pizza, like kind of like a 9-inch
Oh,
diameter,
yeah.
and it's pretty good.
Cursed Keyblade, Val.
Alright, now I guess I run in and get the items that you got. Although there's really nothing much to do. I just kind of sat here and did nothing.
Oh, I
Any
touched
other
Grace.
cool bosses around?
I said I touched Grace, so all the enemies respawn.
Gotcha. Well, that's fine. You know what? How about we go to the coastal cave? And that'll be like the last thing we do.
Alright. You said any
Richard,
more
Eddie.
cool bosses? What, did Val ask that? Or you were just asking?
No, that was me asking. Maybe we can find a cool boss to do.
True.
This guy better not have directly emailed me. I swear to fuck.
Okay, trying. Whoa, I need this.
Oh, he didn't. Thank God. Okay, please, whoever he's, I need him to be calling somebody already. And check out. Don't call me. Don't call me. Don't call me. Don't call me. I'm sick and tired of dealing with this dude. I say that, but like also, this guy is weird because he kind of seems all over the place.
Oh.
But also, like, this dude, it's weird because this guy, like, is just, he has weird tones of voice because on one hand he sounds really depressed, on the other hand he sounds like really irritated, and on the other hand he sounds like a totally fine person, like, oh yeah, like just friendly, and it's like, what the fuck?
Wow.
So I can't totally read him, but I assume he's a nice person. Okay.
Is that why you're just tired of dealing with him, or is it just like he's always annoying to kind of
there's always a problem. Like, he's always got a problem with something. More recently he's had problems with stuff, and then when he gets annoyed at it, he's like really irritated.
Hold on.
And I don't like being around irritated people. I'll just continue the thought. And Val's here. Val says, I genuinely, oh wait, you should have seen my face when Xanar said Keyblade, but it was typed X-Blade, and I was like, question mark? No, he said Ansem, Val. I genuinely thought the dialogue was wrong or something for a sec, lol. Some people say Key or Kai.
Stupid fucking
Yoke, he says.
Key.
I'm never going to let it go, Val, I promise. So I was about to say something even worse. You know what? Never mind. I'm not gonna say it. Me neither. Okay, well, if you're not gonna say it, I'm going to say it. I was gonna say, why don't you just consult your guide to see who Xanar really is, who Ansem really is. And they'll tell you. Ooh, Crystallis. Oh, we don't really need it anymore. Big Mouth Imp Ashes.
I bought that helmet, but I didn't realize it was that expensive. Fuck.
Ooh. Oh, bro. No! Oh, it was Red Skull Val.
Dead.
Oh, damn. It was kind of just vibing, really. That's the first time that's happened. Look, they're Triforce sheep or Triforce goats. Just in the wait, no, they're in the right position. Look, 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 look.
Oh.
Oh well. Well, now they still are.
What the
They're
fuck?
the goddesses running away.
They're fucking following each other.
Yeah. What the hell? Die. Always.
Oh, I was still gonna come. They wanted my help, but I guess they got it now.
Okay. I was telling Roy I haven't really used guides for Cage 2 and VBS. It's just either achievement names or stuff I randomly read on the internet. And bosses, I always fight them a bit before looking them up. Recom, I guided all the way. Yeah, that's fine. Val, it's okay.
Recom bad, so
He's
Recom
totally red.
Recom is the only pass because Recom sucks.
Yeah.
Val, did you know that if you watch 358 over 2 and then play Recom, you get even more Keyblades?
What do you mean?
They give you Keyblades from the Roxas's game
Yeah.
in Recom.
Yeah, but like it's not like they give it to you during the gameplay.
Yeah, you have to go out of your way to get them from treasure rooms.
You actually have to beat the game first too.
That's so stupid.
Like, thanks for making things so redundant, Recom. I appreciate it.
Then what is the point? Like, oh yeah, you gotta watch 358 first and then play Recom and then, yeah, like, fuck up your story timeline.
I don't know. Hey Val, if you're going to, play Recoded, let me know and I can play along with you. Because it's been a minute since I played that game.
What would be good for me?
And you might genuinely enjoy it, I don't know, but you also might not watch it. I mean, you might not play, you might just buy it. But we'll see. I will watch it. Oh, okay. No, that's fine. The fuck, man. I just saw the Chivos and RA, they seemed okay-ish.
Good.
we each took out one, I'm pretty sure. Or maybe he took out two, I don't know. God, this fucking
no,
music.
he kind of finished it off.
Nice.
I had to pull out a torch so I can just hit them with R2s because my Dex Blade wasn't gonna do shit to them.
Hmm.
Wait, why are you going all the way back to the Grace?
I was wondering, I was like, this doesn't feel right.
I was like, where the heck are you going?
I was like, something doesn't feel right.
Whoa.
Checking out
Val's gonna watch Recoded and then he's gonna do the RA set watch.
No, he said he wasn't gonna play it. He's just gonna watch it. Which is fine. He might like the cutscenes in that, because that's when they really ramped up the fight scenes in Kingdom Hearts.
Is that one of the games on the 2.8 collection? Or like
2.5, yeah.
yeah.
358 over 2 requires you to do level 1 run, which okay. Why?
Why? Level 1 runs are just
Because
annoying.
of the gear system, that's probably why. Even though the gear system is whatever.
Level 1.
No, it could be overpowered, but as overpowered as recoded. You could probably do a level run of recoded too, actually.
That's just ugh. Trash, trash, trash.
Wait, no, this one's good. Discus of Light, no?
Is that the one that comes back?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's not
Is
the
it trash?
3 rings though, or not the 3 ring, but the big one that
That's
stays.
true. That's true. Alright, then I won't get it. My eyes will be saved for now. Where is the grace at?
Boo, 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 boo. I guess now if you want we can stop.
Yeah. That was fun gameplay.
It was. Feels good to play Elden Ring again.
Oh wait, wrong thing.
It's not KH3 shitty combat.
Huh. It's not. Yeah, so Val, with Recoded has like the best combat in the series. It's so funny to think of it that way. Like Recoded is number 1, Kingdom Hearts 3 is number 2, and Kingdom Hearts 2 is number 3. When it comes to top 3. What I don't like about Recoded set is that it forces you to be below a level for bosses. Oh, because you can actually... Here's the thing, Val. You can actually dynamically change your levels in that game. You can give yourself something called a level up chip, and then you can level down. You can remove the chip. Like, beat that boss below level 10. Yeah, so basically you can up your stats as much as you want, despite your level, but you just have to take off the level. So honestly, an RA set for that game is gonna be easy. As long as you know how to, like, as long as you don't, as long as you know how to finesse and you don't, like, fumble the controls.
I wonder if the RE set works with that emulator fork that people made to make it easier to play.
Oh, for Kingdom Hearts? I don't know.
Probably not, because it's RE.
Yeah. But, I mean, even still, it's decent to play. Like, you don't use the touchscreen much at all, from what I've seen so far. And it's so funny because, like, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories was like, okay, let's play Kingdom Hearts 1 all over again. This game is, let's play Kingdom Hearts 1 all over again, but let's completely just upheaval literally everything that happens. Because the whole point of the game is that there are anomalies that's taking place within the journal. And everything is just different. And it's really cool because, like, you have, like, a 2D platformer section. You've got, like, a railgun shooter. You've got, like, an actual, like, straight-up just turn-based RPG. There's so many cool, like, boss fight and, like, mechanics that happen in that game. Honestly, you really might enjoy the game, but, like, if you really want to watch it, you can.
The fucking... Oh, wait, no, it says support... Oh wait, never mind. What other features are being considered? Support for retro achievements. Anyway, this fork sucks. It's all its features so far are only for days, and they're all work in progress for Recoded. Besides, like, the analog stick camera controls and stuff like that.
Interesting. Alright, well, whenever you're ready, let's time it.
We won't get it.
No.
I was
Definitely
stuck.
not now.
Yeah. I was stuck doing the animation.
I see. I thought you had prepared it already. Time to sleep. Yep.
No, you can't use items if you're emoting.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, go to
That
sleep,
makes
Val.
sense.
Go to sleep. We'll see you in 18 hours.
We'll see when you're done with the Kingdom Hearts series because you seem to don't want to VC then, or to not want to VC
Or even play
then.
LC.
Well, LC's whatever, but
Is LC happening tomorrow?
yeah, it can. Oh shit, there's so many things I have to prepare for. Yeah, it can as long as it's not Friday.
Alright. I'll probably be a little late because I have a fucking physical at like 12, but my doctor's is
Um,
slow, so that'll probably be like 1 or 2.
okay.
So I'm gonna be fucking starving. Fuck you, Val. You suck.